Ciao everyone and welcome back to the analysis of the song that ranked 7th in this year's Sanremo Music Festival. So, of course, I'm talking about Sanremo Music Festival 2026. I am talking about Stupida Sfortuna by Fulminacci. And as usual, let's start with the translation of the title Stupid Bad Luck. Fortuna in Italian is luck. Sfortuna uses an S to negate the concept, so bad luck, the unluck, okay? When asked what is this song about, Fulminacci said, "It's a bit of an obstacle course. I see it as a solitary nocturnal stroll in search of something or someone who might arrive in someone else's memory." So, yes, guys, a love song. However, there is a twist about it because this song was one of those three songs in the entire festival, so we're talking about 30 participants, so 30 songs, which got the best score by Lorenzo Coveri. I'm talking about 7.80, something around that. There are only three songs with this score. This is the first one, the one that ranked highest amongst these three. Sadly, well, the next one will be the second one, and the third one is very low in the ranking, sadly. But why? Because generally, if we have a love song, it's hard to get a high grade for the simple fact that it's a bit banal. The classic song, as we said several times in Sanremo Music Festival, is the love song, mainly if we are talking about a breakup, because our beloved singers really love to talk about messy relationships, breakup, toxic relationship, and everything like that. But this one has something special. What? Let's see. Lorenzo Coveri writes, "The young, 28 years old, Roman singer-songwriter Fulminacci, a playful assonance with his real name Filippo Uttinacci, had already been to Sanremo in the unfortunate COVID empty theater edition 2021. Because yes, we never stopped having Sanremo Music Festival. But during COVID, we had the issue that, of course, people couldn't be there because of the restrictions of the pandemic. So what happened that instead they performed with a lot of attention. Irama even got sick, got positive to COVID, so he couldn't participate in person. Not in all the nights, at least. No, he did the rehearsal and then they showed in TV a replica of the rehearsal because he was sick when the festival happened. And it was very sad. It wasn't really Sanremo Music Festival because, of course, there was no audience. And instead of the audience, they just put little balloons in the theater. So this time, Fulminacci managed to have a real Sanremo Music Festival. So, but before that, for the Tenco Prize in 2019, and he presents a song produced by Pietro Golden Years Paroletti. The inspiration is simple: the memory of a love that seems to never abandon him, which he sees in every object and every place, a restrained but intense language of emotions, very contemporary with almost always spot-on imagery. So, what is the difference in this case? Is the way he speaks about this unfortunate relationship which ended. What am I talking about? Let's see the lyrics. We start with a verse. Ti troverò dentro a una foto, sotto l'acqua mentre nuoto, nella sabbia e nel cemento, dentro a un cinema all'aperto, come un'allucinazione, in mezzo a tutte le persone che vanno chissà dove. I will find you inside a photo, under the water while I'm swimming, in the sand and the concrete, inside an open-air cinema, like an hallucination among all the people going who knows where. So, If you noticed, in other songs, we had the imagery about, oh my God, while I'm driving and listening to songs, I see you everywhere. So we could say metaphors or examples that are quite repetitive, that very general and pretty much everybody is using. Here we have some general ideas, so common ways where you can see the person you are thinking about. For example, the picture, classic. But more specifically, sotto l'acqua mentre nuoto, under the water while I'm swimming. This is something more personal, something more unique. In the sand, in the concrete, so like we could see the difference between the sand representing maybe moments of leisure because more related to the beach in the summer, and the concrete, so the city when you're going to work. So quite interesting as a metaphor. Dentro un cinema all'aperto, again, something very personal about the author, like a hallucination in all the people going who knows where. About this sotto l'acqua mentre nuoto, under the water while I'm swimming, he got asked by some journalists, like, but why? Why this specific image? Because, of course, it's very personal images, which is what makes the lyrics interesting. And he said, when I am swimming underwater, everything disappears and only the thoughts are left. He actually explained that he really likes go swimming. Rome, of course, is around the coast. Anyway, if you live in the south of Italy, having a chance to go swim in the sea is not that uncommon. And so he said, very often I like to go and swim and go underwater because I can't hear anything. It's just me and my thoughts. And even for the music, it can be very helpful because Fulminacci is a songwriter. So he generally writes, of course, very often with help of other people. But he is not only a performer. He writes the song, he writes the music. So his songs are very personal, are not written by someone else for him. And in fact, it shows, and this is what gives value and such high grade concerning a song, despite the theme being quite common, like nothing incredible. And then we have the pre-chorus. E passeranno classifiche e Sanremi, taxi, treni, aerei. E se mi stai ancora cercando, sono dove stavo ieri. Ho solo più pensieri, un po' meno fiducia e qualche buona scusa. Ma pensa un po'. And we'll pass what? Rankings and Sanremos. Taxis, trains, planes. And if you're still looking for me, I'm where I was yesterday. I just have more thoughts and a little less confidence and some good excuses. Just think about it. So, here he clearly broke up. He's thinking about the person he broke up with. And then we are talking about the passage of time because, unlike many love songs where it's like, oh my God, I want to go back with you, I can't stop thinking about you, you are the best love I ever had, I will never have a love like that, let's get back together and things like that. Here is pretty much the love story ended, but I will accept it. I just need time, but eventually I am going to accept it. So there is a will, another uncommon point of view concerning the ending of love stories. There is no rage, sadness, of course, because this is natural, but it's like happens. It happens, like whatever. I'll get over it. And in fact, he would say classifiche e Sanremi, rankings and Sanremos, which is a plural that doesn't really exist because in Italian normally you don't have the plural of city names. And in fact, this was one of the points pointed out by Coveri because he said bold to propose a plural of a city name, which here, however, alludes metaphorical to the festival. So it's like saying rankings and festivals, so like classifiche e festival. Of course, implying specifically Sanremo, because the song was written for Sanremo. And then taxis, trains, airplanes, as in job, travel, trips, so things will happen, time will go by, and if you are still looking for me, I was like, I am always in the same place, of course, with more thoughts, because he's describing like the situation where the story ended. So you think, oh, but what if maybe doing this would have been different, the relationship and whatnot. Or in Italian we say farsi le pare, so like overthinking about what if. Okay. And of course, less confidence in other people, in himself, and some good excuses, probably, as in that he doesn't want to go out, so he has excuses to not do things, probably. But again, the meaning here is so broad that you pretty much can interpret it in several ways, according to how you feel in the state of breakup. And then we have a fixed expression, because it's not really an idiom, it's more like a fixed expression, an exclamation used also as an interjection that we have in Italian, ma pensa un po', which is like, think about it. Here, like, I translate it as like, just think about it. It is something that we can use in several meanings when someone tells you something and you're like, no way. Here, probably the meaning is no way, as in rhetoric, like not rhetorical, but like ironically speaking, because I feel sad, I feel lost, I am overthinking, like no way that I feel like that, because of course it is normal to feel like that. So he's a little bit ironic, because in the interviews, Fulminacci comes out as a very as a person that can do self-irony. So even sad things, to laugh about it and try to take things more lightly, which is what made this song get such a high grade, because it's something that generally is described with aggression, passion, hate, very sad. Like, generally, all songs about love stories ending up in breakups, at least in Sanremo, are songs intense, where the protagonist is feeling a lot of things very intensively, so very angry, very hating, with a lot of passion, because I want your body, I miss your body, and things like that. Or like, oh, I am so sad, I am depressed. Here, there is this sadness, but the way this feeling is communicated is quite light and soft. And it matches also the rhythm and the vocabulary used. That's why it is a little bit special. And then we have the chorus. Stupida, stupida, stupida sfortuna. Tu come stai? Gelida, gelida, gelida paura. Vienimi a prendere, sto in mezzo a una strada. Continuo a perdere le chiavi di casa. Ma pensa un po'. Stupid, stupid, stupid bad luck. How are you? Freezing, freezing, freezing fear. Come get me, I am the middle of the street. I keep losing my house keys. Just think about it. So again, we have this ma pensa un po', like, no way, said a little bit jokingly, which creates a contrast with what is being said. Because, as I said, the tone and the vocabulary are very soft, like, oh, silly bad luck. But then you have phrases like gelida paura, freezing fear, which is quite impactful. Also, the idea of come pick me up. I feel completely lost. I feel like there is no home I can go back to. I lost my house keys. So I don't feel like I have a house anymore. I'm completely lost. I feel alone. So the emotional state is quite powerful, but the way it is described is incredibly light and soft. And then we have another verse. Vado di corsa e resto indietro e soffia il vento della metro tra le piastrelle colorate e le rovine sotto a un vetro. C'è un manifesto col tuo nome in mezzo a un fiume di persone che vanno chissà dove. I run and fall behind, and the subway wind blows. Among the colored tiles and the ruins under a glass, there is a poster with your name, in the middle of a river of people, going who knows where. Here again, we have very on point metaphors. For example, I run and I fall behind because it is a little bit of a contradiction. Not a contradiction, but generally, if you run, it is paradoxical that you fall behind. So, despite my best effort, I feel like I am left behind. And then here we have an image specifically related to Rome, which is the ruins under a glass. What are these ruins under a glass? So, you see, in Italy we are suffering from success, if you will, because every time we have to excavate a subway, we have this issue that we have historical ruins everywhere. And in fact, you will see that in Italy there aren't many subways. Generally, there are not that many cities having a subway, despite being something very good for the traffic. And also, we don't have that many lines, even if we have the subway. For example, Turin, my city, is quite of a big city. We have only one subway line, and we managed to build the subway only in 2006 when we had the Winter Olympics in Turin. So just imagine. In Rome, of course, this is a great problem because every time they try to extend a line or create a new line, and trust me, with the traffic we have in Rome, it is very necessary to have proper subways. They always have issues because they keep finding ruins over ruins over ruins. Like the Domus Aurea was almost completely excavating and brought to light because they were trying to build a subway. And we can't just pass, like pretend we don't see things and just build, because we have laws to protect our historical buildings, if you put it like that, our archaeological sites. So what happens is that you have to pass through a whole process of bureaucracy. You have to try to ensure the archaeological site, to protect it and whatnot. Sometimes the works are just blocked for a long time. When we are the most lucky, we find a solution, if we can call it like that. So the subway will pass through the ruins, trying to dodge them, but this created a very specific type of subway because in some stations you have the glass where you can see the ruins, and we sort of integrated the subway into the Roman ruins. So, compromise. And that's why he's talking about ruins under a glass, because it's the Roman ruins in the subway. And then we have fiume di persone. Fiume di persone, I don't know if I can count it as an idiomatic expression, because it is surely a metaphor, because it is a crowd, okay? If you see a moving crowd from the top, it would look like a river. And in Italian, we have this metaphor to say when there are big crowds moving just like a river. I think you can use it also in English, but I didn't hear it as much as in Italian, but it might be just me. And then we have the pre-chorus, which changes because it says e passeranno, so like in the other pre-chorus, but this time semafori e cantieri, pianeti e buchi neri, e dai facciamo i seri, ma pensa un po', and again. And will pass what? Traffic lights and construction sites. So again, construction sites, because we have many things to fix in Rome, but it's also hard to fix them because every time you excavate, you basically bring to light some archaeological site. So it is always this dilemma. Planets and black holes. Come on, let's be serious. Just think about it. Like, no way. So you see that it is often repeated, this very ironic and light interjection. And then we have the chorus, which is just like before, but shorter, because it says Stupida, stupida, stupida sfortuna, tu come stai? Gelida, gelida, gelida paura. Vienimi a prendere, sto in mezzo a una strada, continuo a perdere le chiavi di casa. Stupid, stupid, stupid bad luck, how are you? Freezing, freezing, freezing fear. Come get me, I'm in the middle of the street. I keep losing my house keys, but unlike the previous chorus, we don't have ma pensa un po' anymore. And then we have a bridge. E adesso il tempo è solo un mucchio di secondi, di primavere e poi di nuovo rami spogli, ma spero di essere il migliore dei tuoi sbagli, ci credi o no? And now time is just a bunch of seconds of springs and then again bare branches, so autumn or fall. But I hope I'm the best of your mistakes. Do you believe it or not? And again, here, the whole point is not really the theme making these a high level lyrics. It is the vocabulary and how this end of a love story is described. This feeling like the time didn't really matter. E adesso il tempo è solo un mucchio di secondi, like il mucchio is like a pile of seconds, so just like a bunch, but like a cumul indistinct of seconds, like losing a bit its importance and its sense. And the years are just springs and then autumns and then springs and then autumns, so not feeling meaningful, just an like just seasons alternating and passing. And I hope I am the best of your mistakes, which is a metaphor that was really praised by Lorenzo Coveri. Then we have again the chorus, which is becoming shorter and shorter, basically. Stupida, stupida, stupida sfortuna. Gelida, gelida, gelida paura. We lost the come stai. Dopo di te non l'ho più detto a nessuna. Vorrei raggiungerti, ma qui c'è troppa notte e poca luna, e lo sai. Stupid, stupid, stupid bad luck. No more, how are you? Freezing, freezing, freezing fear. After you, I never told anyone again that. So, actually, I never told it to anyone again. Because what is this? Probably he's mentioning the fact that he never said I love you to anybody else. Because he's still recovering, okay? He still needs time to get over it. And then I like to join you, but here there's too much night and not enough moon. And you know it. So probably the reason why it didn't work out is because our narrator, our protagonist, felt too much darkness and not enough light. And that is what blocked him from having a good relationship. This is probably the bad luck mentioned. And this is the freezing fear he has because he's blocked. And in fact, we have a little bit of the confirmation of this in the outro. Stupida, stupida, stupida sfortuna, che ci penso anche se non ci penso. Gelida, gelida, gelida paura, ogni volta che non mi addormento. L'infinito a me mi fa spavento, come il cielo, come il mare aperto. Stupida sfortuna, starò più attento. Stupid, stupid, stupid bad luck. That I think about it even if I don't think about it. Freezing, freezing, freezing fear. Every time I don't fall asleep. The infinite scares me. Like the sky, like the open sea. Stupid bad luck. I'll be more careful. So, the reason why, as I was saying, probably this love story didn't work out is because the fear of the unknown, so of the future, our protagonist has. Here we have reference to overthinking, to insomnia, to the infinite. Now, in Italian, we have, like in Italian literature, we have a very famous poem titled L'infinito, The Infinite, by Giacomo Leopardi. Now, here there is a contraposition between how he sees the infinite and how Leopardi sees it. Because Leopardi sees it in a bit of a positive way, with sweetness. We could generally something positive. While here we have our protagonist who is scared about it. We have specifically something that in Italian normally would be a mistake. In fact, a me, mi is a repetition, unnecessary repetition, because you either say l'infinito mi fa spavento or l'infinito a me fa spavento, because a me and mi are different formulas of the same expression, okay? It's like saying the infinite to me, for me, is scary, okay? That's why generally is considered a mistake. Here I think that Fulminacci knows Italian language well enough to know that this would be a mistake, so it has to be on purpose. You can use it on purpose as a repetition to highlight, to stress the concept, to put yourself in the center. It is also a common mistake made by children. So it could also be a formula showing his inner child, his fears of his inner child. And that's why you have a childish formulation of the sentence. But again, it can be for because of several reasons. And what are the things scaring him? Why am I saying the unknown? Because the unknown in this case is represented by the infinite, so like the great unknown, the sky, so something open, il mare aperto, the open sea. So very famous examples of metaphors for the great unknown. And then the song ends with a purpose, okay, with a promise, if you want, because it says, stupida sfortuna, starò più attento, like, stupid bad luck, I'll be more careful, like, oh fudge, it will be better next time. So that's why I'm saying what we would expect generally to be something like, I am devastated, I feel like I won't tear out my heart from my chest, I feel depressed, I never felt worse, like, so very intense, very dark, or very passionate. Here it is light, like almost whispered, but the image that we are showed, if we really think about it, are quite powerful. We are talking about freezing fear the fear of the great unknown, darkness and not enough light, these depressive condition where like time is meaningless, years are just one season after the other. Like, so if we think about it, okay, we see quite powerful images, but the way they are expressed through the vocabulary and through the music are quite light, a little bit happy. So creating this contrast between an emotional state, which is devastating, feeling lost, nowhere to go, being scared like no tomorrow, being fearful, but it's like, oopsie daisy, it will be better next time. So I'll be honest, for me, this is not the best lyrics, but I see why Lorenzo Coveri thought so well of this song. And I do agree, because despite being a very common theme, so the classic Sanremo love song, the way this theme is proposed is quite fresh, feels quite fresh. Is not the usual, oh my god, I'm dying inside, I miss so much my ex and whatnot. This is much more interesting than the song which won the best lyrics. That's why I was saying there were several lyrics which would have deserved more the best lyric award. For example, this one was better. Not my favorite. My favorite will be the next one, but I do agree with the high grade for the lyrics because of the new perspective to present a very common and reused, reproposed so many times theme. That said, there isn't much tea because, again, the whole point of this song, it is its simplicity, and it is so simple that can be relatable in several ways. So it is really one of those songs which could give you different vibes according to the emotional state you are listening to it. So, yeah, there is no much to say, despite I hope you enjoy this song and I hope you enjoy this video. Let me know in the comments what you think about Stupida Sfortuna by Fulminacci. That said, grazie everyone for watching and arrivederci.